Well, one of those implicated in the SIU SABC report is Tseliso Ralitabo, who was the acting CEO and technology group executive at the time. He joins us on the line for a reaction. Good afternoon, Mr. Ralitabo. Thank you for joining us.
A very good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you for having me.
Now, first of all, what is your reaction to this report?
Our reaction or my reaction to the report is that insofar as I can remember, there is nothing untoward. The bid evaluation committee evaluated and recommended to the BAC, and BAC also looked into the matter and carried forward the recommendation to the group executive because of the value of the tender. And at the group executive meeting, which I chaired, we also carried that recommendation as it was coming from bid evaluation committee and bid adjudication committee. We had to carry the recommendation to the board subcommittee and finally for the full board to have made a determination or to have decided on the recommendation. But until at that point, the process, insofar as I'm concerned, has been followed to the letter. In internal processes of such matters have been followed. Our group executive meeting resolved to carry the recommendation as it came from the bid adjudication committee. It was at the board subcommittee where the issue now, the board wanted more clarity because at that time, the recommendation was saying the tender should be awarded to a service provider who was ranked 2 in terms of BBEE scoring. And the board did not understand that. And I think, insofar as I can recollect, that is the only issue that has made us, or the subcommittee of the board, to have referred the matter back to SCM for review. So insofar as I'm concerned, yes, there is totally nothing untoward the award.
So what exactly was your role in the awarding of this tender? I was acting chief executive at the time, and therefore when bid adjudication committee was making a recommendation, they would have recommended to group executive committee, which I chaired. And I must also say that I don't think I was even longer than a month in that office. So was the board. But then I was sitting in the group executive, chairing group executive committee meeting. And the recommendation would now be carried to the board subcommittee, which I was also a member of. So I was technically sitting in the subcommittee meeting, looking into my own resolution from the group executive committee, and in the subcommittee meeting, there were about 3, if I remember well, 3 executive, 3 executive members
which was myself, the acting COO, the acting CFO. And there were another 3 from the interim board, which included the chairperson of the interim board and the deputy chairperson. And that committee is the one that we couldn't persuade into understanding that in the 9010 tender, the decision is based on price more than on the triple BEE ranking. Even if we were saying the first-ranked BEE service provider was still given the point accordingly, and therefore they were not disadvantaged. So that is the technicality that I don't think us as a group executive.
So in a nutshell, you're saying that Mafoko Security ticked all the right boxes. Am I right in assuming that you said that?
I am saying Mafoko Security was ranked 2 in terms of triple BEE, and the other company was ranked, Mafoko was ranked 1, and the other company was ranked 2, and that number 2 was the one that was recommended because of the pricing. Because of the pricing. They were less expensive than Mafoko.
Okay. But yes. Mafoko was awarded the tender even though they were more expensive.
Mafoko was awarded the tender even when they were expensive, because we couldn't explain the technicality of the scoring and the weighting that they would already have had, and which suggested that the determination of award is based on price. Yeah. And therefore, that is why the bid evaluation committee would have recommended the other company. But the board was of the opinion that it is the BEE ranking that should have decided which way to award.
Okay. So now you've given us this distinction. Now, Teboko Malachi, who is the lawyer representing the interim board members, has said that the interim board at that time was ill-advised legally at the time. Now, why didn't the lawyers at the time red flag the legalities around this?
I'm not sure about the ill advice they got, but like I'm saying, the processes have been followed, and in the bid evaluation committee and in the bid adjudication committee, we do have the internal audit representing the process in terms of governance to make sure that when we get at the point of recommendation, everything has been followed correctly. So I'm not aware of the ill advising that the board would have had, but I remember that in the subcommittee meeting, the issue was discussed extensively, and the SCM made every effort in trying to back up the recommendation as it came from the evaluation committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ralitabo. We'll have to leave it there. That was the SABC's former acting CEO and technology GE group executive of the SABC, Mr. Tseliso Ralitabo.